Hi.
Hello.
Oh, Wildfire.
Ginnypreneur.
We have our own little nicknames.
Yes, we are. I never had a nickname before. So when my friend and mentor did that, I was just like, I am taking that as a nickname.
Yeah. I know, it really is kind of fun having a name.
Yes.
So I'm curious, how did you decide your pivot points? Because that's something that small businesses have to keep in mind, that there are certain points in life where you've got to pivot in your business and go to a different direction.
Right. Well, I think what happened was when I was working, I worked full time as the marketing manager for a cybersecurity company here in town. And I was starting to get to that point where I was heading toward 50. And I always wanted to work for myself. And I also realized, I think that, I'm going to need to figure this out if I want to do what I feel I'm good at doing.
Right.
So I put out some feelers and I did some graphic design. I only had one project when I realized, nah, this is probably not for me as far as like doing a logo. Oh, those are the toughest because people don't know what they want with graphic design. They try to give you an idea and then you give it to them and they're like, oh no, there were like so many changes, but I did copywriting, and that's where I saw many businesses were interested in copywriting, which is the way I describe it, salesmanship in print. So
okay.
copy
Yes, it is.
Yep, to sell. So that's where I went. I went in that direction, and I've been involved in copywriting now for almost 10 years. So it was 2012 when I left my job to go full time as a copywriter. So, but then back in, I want to say it was 2019, I pivoted to the ghostwriting and wanting to focus more on helping people with a book. But
what's ghostwriting? What do you consider?
Ghostwriting is when you talk with someone who wants to write a book, but they don't really want to go through the whole process of actually writing. So you have to, get from them their vision for the book. And this is nonfiction, but, and then you write it. And, it involves interviews and working with somebody and all that. But the kind of books that I like to write or contribute to are what I call lead generation books. So those are books that have a real strong call to action throughout the book, and also would position a website, let's say, and bonuses. So if you've ever read a book and it said something like, hey, go to this website to get free bonuses. And a lot of times if you go there, they'll ask for your email address, and then you get access to a bunch of bonuses. But it's a way to build your email list and to continue the conversation in a way with someone who seems to be interested in what you offer. So that's the kind of stuff I like to do with businesses because, because it's just, it's hard, I know, to get the whole thing of client acquisition and prospecting can be challenging for a lot of people. But when you have a book, it sort of does a lot of the heavy lifting for you because it automatically positions you as an expert. Because when people see that you have a book, they're like, oh, wow, you must know a lot about this topic, and it's funny because I tell people, it's like when you write a book, you're going to put everything into it, but don't expect anyone to read it all the way through. It just doesn't happen. I mean, usually all you can do is use this to prove I do know stuff, and here it is,
It's not like Think and Grow Rich, in other words.
Yeah. I mean, some people may read it, but I mean, it's funny because just having the book itself will open up doors, even though people don't read it. So I used to belong to the National Speakers Association. and they always were talking about how speakers needed to have their own book.
Sure.
Because speakers bureaus loved it if they had an author.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
once you're known as an author, it really does kind of elevate you more so in the eyes of speakers bureaus and whatever meeting. I don't know, because I'm trying to think of, well, I'll let you know about what I'm doing if you haven't seen it, which is I'm going to be holding an 8-week program of helping people basically get started to create a book. It's going to be a lot of guidance from me, and a little bit of done with you. So a lot of do it yourself, but some done with you. Because the thing is, a lot, when I've met people who said they want to write a book and they haven't, I'm like, well, why haven't you? And they're like, well, I don't know where to start,
Yeah.
So basically I have there's 3 specific kinds of books that you could write, with, again, this is nonfiction, and then what I do is I help people kind of corral their ideas.
Yeah.
And for you, and one of the big techniques I use for that is a mind map. So I don't know if you know what a mind map is, but a lot of times it's easier for people to get out their ideas with a mind map rather than looking at an outline. So there's times where, if you ask somebody to write an outline, I mean, it goes back to their school days and they're like, oh, I hate that,
Yeah.
But a mind map is more visual. So what you start with whatever the main idea is, and you draw a circle around that. That's your main idea that you want to write your book about.
Okay.
Then what you do is it's almost like a spoke from a wheel. So you you draw a line out there. You think, okay, so I want to write a book about this. Okay, why do I want to write it? Maybe jot down some ideas, and then what do I want people to know? And you jot down some ideas. But basically, through the mind map, what you're doing is you're creating like a certain idea and then sub ideas, and all of those then can be developed into chapters. So, and the other thing to let you know, like the book I wrote is around 30,000 words.
Okay.
And let's see here. I'll show you. It's not really all that thick.
The one that your dad said, it's about time.
Yeah, exactly. So it turned out to be 132 pages. Now that's including an about the author section, acknowledgments, an introduction. Yeah. But at any rate, if you think about it like this, in this way, 30,000 words, and let's say that you had 10 chapters in the book, that's 3,000 words per chapter. And 3,000 words is probably a good, sort of like a mid to longish length of a blog post.
Okay.
So I've written a lot of blog posts. Many of them are around 800 to 1,000, maybe 1,500. But it's not, the reason I put it like that is because sometimes when people think about writing a book, the whole idea seems overwhelming,
Yeah.
But if you can think about putting that together like in that way, that kind of takes away some of the pressure. I like it. I think that's really important is, like I said, the encouragement, because it is tough. It's, when people become an entrepreneur, suddenly you're in charge of everything. So you're not picking up a weekly or bi-weekly paycheck, or bi-monthly, I should say, maybe, or monthly. Some people only get paid once a month, but it's like, you have to be your own accountant, your own marketing and sales department, your own business business operations, everything. You're in charge of it all. And so it is easy to become overwhelmed. But if you have somebody, to kind of guide you, which is kind of how I'm thinking that you could be that person, it's so much better because
Right.
I don't think I really found, it's so interesting now that I remember this back when I was starting out in 2010 or whatever. I don't, there were maybe a few people, but there weren't that many to actually help you go from like 0 to 60,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. We'll share this because this is terrific information that entrepreneurs, small business people would love to know.
yes. And the other thing is too, and I just was thinking about this today. I'm going to be doing a LinkedIn video actually very soon about this. I was thinking today about how a book has permanence. The big thing right now with marketing is what is called content marketing.
Yeah.
And a lot of entrepreneurs realize that most of them do their marketing and any kind of advertising online, but they create a lot of content. So the content could be blogs, it could be ebooks, it could be videos, tons of content they're putting out there, putting out there, putting out there. And the thing that hit me today is when you have a book, it's permanent.
Right.
It lasts because although the content online has a certain shelf life, so to say, and there's places maybe you might get shut down even, who knows, like the platform could either deplatform you or it could go
Right.
away. I mean,
Yeah.
so nothing is written in stone online. Something
Yeah.
can change, but if you have a book, that's going to stick around. That has a
Right.
true shelf life. So
Yeah. It really does. And it feels good
yeah.
because you've actually created something.
Right. Well, you created something like you can hold and and very few people will throw away a book. If
You're
you give
right.
them a free book, very few will throw it away. So I'm saying this because with your focus on the entrepreneurs, if they already have a lot of knowledge already about a certain topic or a certain industry or whatever, I would suggest to them, write a book.
Yeah.
Because seriously, that will like accelerate their growth. Because once you have a book out there, people just have a tendency to gravitate toward you,
They do because the authority. But here's something interesting. In today's world, you can print just one book at a time. That blows me away because when we were in printing, the minimum order was 100, and that was very expensive.
Right, right.
Very expensive.
I wanted to let you know too, I did this through Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing.
Okay.
So my book is on Amazon. They provide the ISBN number. If I bought an ISBN number, then my book could be sold at a brick and mortar bookstore and all that. And I probably will do that someday. This time I just thought I'll just go ahead and let them do the ISBN, but it's available on their site. I get author copies at a very deep discount. I only pay $2.48.
Wow. Wow.
That isn't that crazy? $2.48. So, I've told people if, you get a bunch of author copies that you can send out to prospects, clients, whatever, or, let's say you have a speaking engagement and you want to sell books in the back of the room, you can do that and basically get a pretty nice amount of these books for under $100.
Unbelievable. What kind of pricing do you charge if you do all the work for the people as opposed to them going through your program?
So I tell people, I kind of give them first, many people don't realize what the pricing is for ghostwriting, which I will tell you, it can go anywhere from $15,000 all the way up to $30,000 or $45,000. Now, the higher end is usually when a CEO of a company will hire a ghostwriter.
Okay.
So that's usually the kind of people that would go for that, or a thought leader, somebody who already is highly successful and they can handle that. They're like, okay, I'll make that kind of investment. The smaller books usually around anywhere from, I'd say, $12,000 to $15,000, but that's for a book that is around 15,000 words or above. Okay. So with the program that I'm offering, by the way, it is priced at $497. And
Okay.
the reason is I'm not doing the actual writing. What I'm doing is I'm helping guide people on how to create the book that would be a good book for them and could be viable in the marketplace. So, you know, if you have somebody who's, let's say, already wrote a book. So I just worked with a guy and I did a content editing project. So
Okay.
he had already written the book. And what I did is I went through it and I tightened up some things. I, you know, made sure that, you know, the ideas were flowing and that there was a smooth transition between concepts and ideas. And for that, I charged 15 or not 15. Yeah, $1,500, 1,500.
Okay. And that's what I was wondering.
Yeah. So that's what yeah. So
Yeah.
there's different ways that you can go about it.
Okay.
Working with somebody to help you with the book. It just depends, like, how much work have you done? And if you want
Right.
somebody to do all the work, then
Right.
yes, it's going to be
Yeah.
a little bit, it's going to be more.
1,500 to 50,000.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's a I call them, well, it's not just me calling them this, but they're called vanity presses. And there's an organization, it's the Forbes, through Forbes magazine, but it's called Advantage/Forbes Books. And I have gone through their pricing and they're the ones that are charging that. They're charging like 35,000. I think it's like the lowest might be $25,000, but they have a lot of different add-ons. You know, they've got some marketing add-ons and all that sort of thing, and publicity and you know, things like that.
Yeah.
So,
And that gets confusing and overwhelming to a person who's just trying to get the book out. That's why,
right.
in this situation, my opinion, it's nicer to have someone like you that can guide you in an easier way than throwing all that stuff at you.
Exactly. When I created, I mean, this is an 8-week program, and when I created it, I knew that I was going to be charging a lot lower of a price than what it's eventually going to be. So, I mean, this thing is going to grow, my book and program, but I wanted to make it as accessible as possible for people who wanted to start, you know, and I didn't want it, again, I like, you know, because I've seen you use the word obstacle, and I like to get through obstacles. So instead of somebody saying, well, I don't know where to start, and oh gosh, I can't afford a ghostwriter, you know, like, you know what? This is like the medium. This is the happy medium. It's a way to get you started. You're not going to have a ghostwriter per se, but you're going to have somebody alongside who will say, yep, that sounds good, and no, or this is too wordy, or this is too muddled, you know, that I'm all about clarity. So
yeah. That clarity is so important. I did not realize how hard it is to do, but you literally have to almost have someone else read it and have them say, oh my goodness, what are you talking about here? So,
exactly. Well, you know, and it's the same with me too, Ginny. I mean, we all, because we're too close to it, you know?
yes,
We don't
exactly.
see it. So the project I just finished with this guy, I mean, there was like part of it, he's a financial advisor, CPA, by the way, and then he also is doing a financial advisory type of practice. But there was something he wrote, and I'm like, okay, it sounded like a half finished thought, like, and I was like, okay, where's this going? You're kind of leaving me hanging here, you know. And one of the comments, you know, and I said that, and he laughed. He said, "Good catch," and he, you know, he finished the song. But that's what happens when you write. It's in your head. And you think that you wrote it down, and then you didn't.
Your mind sometimes works faster than it comes out on either pen or verbally.
That's right. That's right. So anyway,
what's the name of your company, and how can people get in touch with you?
It's it is MaryRoseMaguire.com.
Okay.
And I mean, basically, I was known as Maguire Copywriting from 2010, I guess, all the way until 2019. That's when I switched to Star Maker Marketing. So Star Maker Marketing, it's more focused now on helping people write books, making them, as I say, slightly famous, because fame attracts money. I mean, whether you like it or not, it's just the way it is.
I know, yeah.
So when you're known, that's when people are going to come to you. So yeah, MaryRoseMaguire.com.
That's great. Oh, good. Thank you so much, Mary. I've really enjoyed this.
You're welcome. I did too. And looking forward to learning more about you. And I will definitely be keeping in touch with you.
Good. Sounds great. And I'll be in touch with you, you little wildfire.
Thank you. I love it. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Talk to you later.